So today's guest spends part of the year outside the US and part of the year inside the US because he has a business in the US and he doesn't like to be gone more than 6 months of the year. He also communicates online about his business when he's gone. So he's a little bit interesting in that way. So he also slow travels when he's outside the US. And here he'll talk about some of his ideas about how to run his business properly. And also, what does it cost to slow travel and keep an empty bed in the US so whenever you go back, you have a place to sleep. So it's kind of interesting in that way. His name's Rob. Here we go. Let's interview him. So this is Dan of Vagabond a Week, and we're delighted to have Rob on the call here on the interview. Rob, welcome to the channel.
Thanks so much. It's great. It's great to finally meet you.
So where are you from, Rob, and where are you right now?
I was born city of Boston, spent many years living in Somerville, Massachusetts, moved up to Reading, Florida, California, visited many places inside the United States because I always had that travel mentality, even when I was in high school. And I'm currently living in a city about 50 minutes north of Boston called Haverhill, Massachusetts, because it's very close to my yoga studio in North Andover.
So how much time per year do you spend outside the USA?
When things are great, as much as I can, as close to 365 as I can. But this year's been a little bit of a bob and a weave, so it's been around 180, 180 days outside, 180 days in. With that being said, I got to be dynamic in these days, in these times. It's whatever God gives me. I grind, and when I can, I go. I have family outside of the United States, so it's a must that I leave. But it's also I have to be here because my business is in North Andover. So I'm back and forth.
So it sounds like you're coming back home every year for at least half the year, say, for family or business and healthcare. What are the reasons you come back?
Both, because I have family in both places. The United States dollar is where I generate my income. So I'll stay I'll stay out of the country maybe for 3 months and then come back for 3 months, or I'll do the 1 month thing, and that's all dynamic and based upon how well and organized the business is at that time. When I started doing this 30 years ago, after a few years went by, I said, listen, I'm going to try and do it the whole 9 yards. I'm going to live in Panama, and I'm going to have my manager run my supplement company. At the time, I was moving supplements. There was things that she made decisions on that I would have made differently. And over time, that little erosion wrecked it. So I said, after this, I always got to have my hands, I have to have my claws in it. I can't get too far away, never longer than 90 days. I have gone longer than 90 days since that time, but it was during a very profitable time in the United States where it was hard to make a mistake. I know that sounds crazy in these days, but about four years ago, things were doing really it was almost hard to make an error. Now I have to pinpoint before I go away. And now we have WhatsApp. We have all this amazing social media that we can communicate with our workers. And that's what really is helpful. And I hope your people will hear this, that if they are going to run a business in the United States and move, the social media platforms, you got to be on those. You have to, you have to be able to communicate with your employees and see their eyes and see what they're doing and say, okay, give me a walkthrough with the video camera.
Your time you spent in the States is mainly to make sure your business stays on track and come back and touch base and make sure things are running correctly. So when you're outside of the US, are you mainly in Panama? Is that what I heard?
No, I'm all over Latin America, although I've been to Austria, in Ukraine and Italy. I did the Europe thing. But most of the time I'm in Latin America. The errors that I made back in the day may have been reversed if it were in today's society with all of the social media, where I had more hands-on with that cell phone and you're always on top of things. So some of the mistakes and some of the erosions that took place by me being away from it, we were banging out things in Yahoo back in those days. You know how it was back in you've got mail. Like, it was crazy in those days. You know, now things are a lot, the bottleneck, we can communicate a little bit better. With that being said, when I make a mistake, I have to learn from the mistake, and I never want to get too far away.
Okay, so all over Latin America. And so How do you decide where to go next when you're leaving?
It's almost a, oh, look at this place. Wow. Got to see it. Got to try it. Got to taste it. And I get, it gets to the point where it's funny you should say that. There was one time I'm like, should I go to Barranquilla or should I go to Cali? Should I go to Barranquilla? I buy the Barranquilla thing and it says you can change it without any cost. And I went back to Barranquilla. I changed the ticket back to Barranquilla. And then I said, what do I even care for? I'll go to Cali now and then I'll go to Barranquilla after. What's the difference? I'm going to be I'm in the same body. If it happens this year or next month, what's the difference? What am I driving myself crazy for?
You mentioned the wow factor. So it's something you read, a video, or something that just really raises your interest in a place. And you
Absolutely.
just buy a ticket and off you go. Is that the idea?
Yeah. Back in the day, I'll tell you, I don't know how it is for you, but as I get older, I get more mature. Back in the day, I was a little bit more libido driven. So if I found a place that had really beautiful women and the cost of living was cheap, I said, oh, look at this. The restaurant's not going to be too expensive. I'm going to be able to get an Airbnb at a good price, and I'm going to be able to date beautiful women. That's what do we got right there? We got a trifecta, So I'll run in that direction. But today, now it's more, do I have peace and quiet? Is it safe? Am I going to learn something from it? Is it going to be near a gym? Am I going to be near a supermarket? My brain works totally different than back in the day because we were all thinking with our other head back in those days. We all grow up.
So, do you speak other languages other than English?
Yeah, I enjoy. I speak a little English, a little Spanish, and a little Russian, and a little Italian. I communicate a lot with my hands. I let people know what I'm thinking. As an Italian American, we talk with our bodies.
So you know enough to get yourself into trouble, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, nowadays I'm trying to keep myself out of it.
Yeah. So what are your top five favorite places you've visited in the world, and why those five?
Well, let's see. I'm not going to put them in order. I'm just going to say right from my my thought. The reason I love Ukraine the best is because of their skill set in what I learned from them the best is their ability to make things scientific and remove the fluff and just teach. And they have zero filter. When you ask a question and it's stupid, they're like, no, that is stupid. And they don't play. You'll learn more. Like I went over there. I didn't even know what a kettlebell was like 27 years ago. And you have to wipe your cooler with gray toilet paper. You have no idea what it was like back in the day. It was brutal. But it was like women that fell out of a magazine, and there was always cloudy sky. And not in the summer there wasn't. But the amount of things that I learned for physiology, kinesiology, and fighting was unbelievable. So that's my favorite place for learning. My favorite place for getting pampered by a girlfriend is definitely, for me, Latin America. I've been treated, God, thank you, God, I've been treated very well in Latin America. So I would have to say that Colombia, Venezuela, I spent time in Caracas before the crap hit the fan. I was there during Chavez. I was spitting right in, right? And Mexico was really cool. Did I answer that okay?
Yeah, pretty much. Ukraine, Venezuela. Did you say Colombia?
Colombia, the people were oh my God. I went there, I didn't know a soul. Probably about 15 years ago. There was people, hey, you want to come to my house? Well, you can eat at our house. They're like, oh, can I just talk to you? I never talked to a gringo before. But, just extremely friendly people. You sit at, all you need to do is go to the bus stop in Medellin back in the day. You'd make 5 friends.
Yeah, that's great. So where do you think you'll go next?
I think it's important that I go to Thailand because I come from a martial art background. And I've been doing martial arts since I was 83. And Muay Thai is a big part of martial arts, the 8 limbs, and just stay there and train. I already got my head shaved, so I already got half the job done. I can go out there and meditate with the monks and do the right thing. And I won't be out there doing crazy things because I've taken a vow of celibacy. Hopefully it'll last when I'm out there. But I want to go out there and I have to experience Asia. I'd also like to visit the Philippines and see other parts because like I said, it's a part of my heart that I've never actually been to that motherland. And
how do you find where to stay in each place you visit?
Right now, I'm just doing Airbnb, back in the day, I'd literally the first time I traveled 30 years ago, I got off a plane and I just grabbed a taxi and I said, we got to stop finding hotels. It's like 1 in the morning, but that's how it was back in the day, but now you do everything online, and I can use Airbnb or Booking.com. And I've noticed in my past experiences, the Airbnbs work a little bit better for me because I like to have a washing machine because I go to the gym a lot and I do a lot of cardio, so you end up sweating a lot, and I need to do a lot of laundry.
When you go to a place, do you kind of settle down there for a few weeks or a few months, or do you move around? What's your strategy with that?
It's funny you should say that because I learned the term to use from you. I think it's called slow travel. Oh, that's what I do. I like to settle in. I don't like to, I mean, I've done it before. I don't want to stay in a place 3 days. You just start making a friend, and then you got to leave the person. You just broke bread with them, and now you gotta take off. I like to settle in, start to meet people. So for me, I'd like to stay for a month, slow travel, and maybe even 3 months. When I went to El Cafetero in Colombia, that's a big area, a big region. I stayed there for like 4 months, and I just went to different areas, and you really get to see, you see more if that's the place that you want to live in. Anybody out there who's like, oh, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to travel here for 1 week, and then I'm going to figure out if I'm going to move there. Yeah, good luck with that. That's like trying to marry a girl after knowing her for a week. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You end up with, you never know what you're going to end up with.
Yeah,
because 1 week you're still on the honeymoon phase, even with a vacation.
Were you riding like buses or taxis, or how were you moving?
One time I dropped off in San Jose, and then I just jumped on a bus that took me to Panama City, and I just slept on the bus. I took some melatonin, slept on the bus, got up the next day, and they have to stop you in the frontera, and then you have to like do some BS. And then they took us to the city.
Yeah, we rode the buses when we were in Colombia. They're usually pretty nice buses. And how many meals would you say per week do you eat at home versus out in restaurants?
I might not be the best person to give that explanation because I eat 5-6 times a day. As thin as I am, I eat 4,000 calories a day because I train 3 hours a day, 2 days on, 1 day off. So I burn a lot of calories. So typically, before inflation, I was eating out once a day, and I would usually save that to when I was with a friend or a young lady that I wanted to communicate with. Now that things have come up and are about 33%, 40% more expensive in Colombia, I eat at home more. I'll eat at home and maybe just eat out once in a while. The quality of food has actually come down as well. The quality of food and the size, the portions have come down, the quality's come down. I'm like, what am I doing here? What do I even want to eat out for? I can make it better at my house.
So how much do you pay for like rent, groceries, restaurants, utilities, smartphone, or what is an average per month or a low versus high per month?
I'll do Colombia. I'll do Colombia because I know that the best. So if I'm in Cali, I can get a deal for $600 a month on an Airbnb. With that being said, if I was to be in Medellin or in Cartagena, it's going to be 3 times that. It's just going to be more expensive, and also in Santo Domingo in Dominican Republic, it's more expensive. It's going to be more expensive too. So if I was in Santo Domingo, all in, with the tax and all the Airbnb fees and everything, you could be spending between $1,800 and $2,000 a month just in an Airbnb. So anywhere from 600, the final conclusion is anywhere from 600 to 2,000. That's just in Airbnbs. And then I'm spending, $600 a month in food. And I've cut my dating expenses to 0 right now, which has worked out really well because I'm taking a break from the chicas. But what I'm using is WhatsApp when I communicate with the rest of the world. So that's like 134 because I have a pretty nice phone because that's included the financing. The other expenses would be something just personal for me, like vitamins and stuff like that. Oh, and I have a SmartFit membership to all of the world for Latin America. So I can just go there. I pay one price and I can hit all of the gyms in Latin America that say SmartFit on there. It's only like $28.50 and I can go everywhere that they have them. They have them from Brazil all the way up to Mexico. They may be in Mexico now, but pretty much all of Latin America.
What do you spend per month keeping an empty bed in your home country?
I got a good deal. It's a small place. It's humble. It's only $1,200 a month. Then you got, you're paying your money for your internet and your heat and electricity, which is really low because I'm not here that often. Just call it all in, 1,400. Obviously, I have a car over here as well, which is depreciated. So I just, with insurance on that, just throw in with depreciation an extra 300 and we're good to go. That's everything that I need just to stay here as my base.
When away, do you miss anything from home?
Yeah, quiet. If you can come up with some way to put something on your ears for Latin America that you hear nothing and it doesn't like squash your head so you can sleep with it, I'll buy it. I don't care how much it costs. Please, if you're out there, figure this out. If you can get Elon Musk, please find something that can make you not hear anything so that us, the people in Latin America, can sleep at night.
Do you feel safe?
I do. With that being said, everybody around me tends to warn me, watch out, you have a camera, they're gonna rob you. Everybody's warning me. And I have had people, follow me. In Colombia, I have people that follow me. I took a video once, and the next day in the same spot I was standing, a guy got killed.
Have you had any attack you, or how's it gone?
Attacks, no, but I was robbed like 20 years ago in Cartagena. Like I felt it was a woman's hand, it was a small hand or a child's hand. I felt a few hands on me, and then when I went to go grab my money, the money was already gone. Yeah, so that was the only time, and that was a long time ago. And here's the funny story with that. The next day, they sold me my passport back to me. The people who robbed me sold me my passport back to me and my U.S. driver's license and my keys. And how they worded it was very nice. We found this in the street. If you would like it back, you can pay us X amount of dollars. If not, you don't need to have it back. And I said, okay, yeah, I need to have it back. And they came up with one price. I came up with another price. I said, can we work ourselves out in the middle? And we did it.
If you would like to learn how I fired my boss and traveled the world for 16 years and how I pay for things, grab a free copy of my ebook.
And so they stole my money, and then they sold me my items back. And I know it was the same people.
It sounds like a pickpocket rather than a robbery.
To me, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Do you have health insurance outside your home country?
But right now, I'm just paying out of pocket. And I have Blue Cross Blue Shield for the United States. I pay out of pocket. If I want to get my blood drawn and see where my my cholesterol is, my red blood cell, my hemoglobin, I just pay for it.
So what advice do you have for other people that are thinking about living like this? It's snowbird, part of the year in their country, taking care of business or whatever, part of the year outside. What kind of advice do you have, if any?
The prices of airlines have gone up in the last 5 years. So you're going to have to absorb that. You're going to have to do it if you're going to go back and forth. If you're going to just stay in that one place, you're really going to need somebody that you trust in your business 110%. And they're going to need to be able to put fires out as well as you. Try many different places, try many pencils out and see which one writes the best for you. Don't expect to stay at one place for 1 week and all of a sudden this is the perfect place for you. It may not be. I've heard some horror stories that people meeting women online never even been there before, and then they just go sell everything and move there and find out that that's just not for them. That's not a good idea. Try it out. I'd say what I would do is, if I wanted to find one place and possibly that was my settle down area, try it for a couple weeks and then go back, try it out for a month, go back, try it out for 3 months. And if you're not sick of it after 3 times, I think that might be the place that you want to direct towards. But I'm the type of person, I like spreading it around a little as well. I like doing both, because Colombia, I always tend to be going back to the same place. Sometimes I'm like, I'm getting a little bit bored with this. And then you try out a new place. That's why I'm not into buying. I owned a condo in Panama. I got lucky, thank you God. I made some money. It's your choice. I'm not going to give any advice on buying outside of the country. I got lucky.
So Rob, you have a YouTube channel, don't you? What's the name of it, and what do you talk about on there if people would like to come by?
The name is Mundo Iorio, Iorio. Some people end up making the mistake and call it Lorio, but it's an I first. And pretty much what I do is give people the warnings and the fun stuff. So I give them both. I don't want to just, I like to keep it 50-50, because I don't just want to promote an area, then I'm just a promoter. I need to keep people, on their toes, because if you are going to come to Latin America, you need to know the goods and the bads.
I'll put a link to Rob's channel below so you don't have to remember how to spell it. Some people are afraid to go to Latin America, but I encourage people to go. I think it's an amazing experience. But what you're saying is correct. You do have to be on your game when you're there. Watch what's going on around you. Well, thanks, Rob. Thanks for coming on the channel and sharing your story.
Great to finally meet you, because I love you. I love your channel a lot.
As I travel around the world, I write these retired, cheap, and paradise reports. They include links to where we stayed, restaurants, cheap public markets, expensive grocery stores, transportation information, internet speeds, visa information, weather, and other information. All of this information saves time when you are doing your exploratory visits to identify your own personal paradise destination. We spend hours collecting and preparing this information, so you don't have to. Click the first link in the notes below this video to get an idea of what I'm talking about. Hey, if you liked our video, please like, comment, or subscribe. Any of that would help our business. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.